Welcome to the place where brains collide with science, wit, and a nerdy vibe. I'm Dr. Angel. Let's dive in where psychology meets a clever spin. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.
Being grounded in uncertain times. Last week, someone in my counseling office sighed and said, I feel like the world is falling apart and I just can't stop doom scrolling. And guess what? They're not alone. Every day I hear stories like this. Parents worried about the cost of groceries, or retirees afraid of their savings that just won't stretch to their lifespan. Young adults wondering if they can ever afford to live on their own. And if you've been feeling that way, that same heaviness, like the world is just moving too fast and you just can't catch your breath, you're absolutely not broken. You're human. And today, we're going to talk about how to stay grounded and how to take back some of that control, even when the headlines feel overwhelming. Hi nerds, I'm Dr. Angel and welcome back to Nerdy Psychology, where we break down big mental health topics into simple real life strategies. This episode isn't about politics. It's about protecting your mental health during uncertain times and learning how to turn stress into action. So if you want practical coping tools and ways to make a positive difference, stick around. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes of Nerdy Psychology. Let's dive in. First things first, when we are talking about these huge feelings of overwhelm, and it doesn't matter at what level we're experiencing it, because we're all dealing with change and things are happening fast. So we need to just acknowledge, without trying to soak in that overwhelm, we just need to acknowledge what's happening. Like, let's just say things are tough, things are changing, things are uncertain, prices are climbing, the housing market feels shaky, and every time you turn on the news, there's another crisis. Feeling anxious or overwhelmed, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're paying attention. One of my clients told me I felt like something was wrong with me because I just couldn't stop worrying about the economy. But once we took it in and we reframed it, they realized, of course, there's stress. Who wouldn't be? The key is not getting stuck there, not setting up camp in our stress. Naming what we feel is so important, like acknowledging it, putting words to what we're actually thinking and feeling. If it's sharing that with another human being, if it's just saying it out loud by yourself, if it's writing it down in a journal, name what you're feeling. I'm scared. I'm unsettled. I'm worried. You know what it does? It takes away some of that power that it has on you. The next thing we're going to talk about is setting personal boundaries with news and social media. And that includes all of the ways that we can take in and consume our media. Because let's just be honest, just stop for a minute and let's be honest. Doom scrolling has become a national pastime. But your nervous system wasn't built for the 24/7 breaking news cycle. So what do we do about that? Because if we're not consuming the news on traditional media sources like TV stations or Foxes or NBCs or CBSs or all of those, then we might be consuming it through what we're scrolling on the TikTok or the YouTube or the Facebook or the Reddit posts, or we are consuming those cycles if we're aware of it or not. So what do? Here's what helps. First of all, look for trusted sources to get your news from. Looking for sources that report the news, but not create undue drama and overwhelm about the news. It's always best to read the news because it really does give our brain less fear, less drama, less chaos. And I get it. Not everyone wants to sit down and read their news, but there are really great spaces that we can read some of those news stories. And when we can, we should. And also looking for spaces that can report the news without adding undue chaos to it or fear or drama to it. Like giving us what's actually happening is important for us. So no matter how we consume our news though, and no matter where we consume our news, if you're reading it, if you're catching it on the socials, if you're watching it intentionally on TV, set time limits. This is what's really important. Unfortunately, in our day and age, we have information available to us 24/7. And guess what? A lot of us are doing is consuming information 24/7. And that's causing our bodies to feel overwhelmed. So send time limits, send 15 minutes or 30 minutes in the beginning of the day or in the evening, and then put it down and move on. And really importantly, skip the late night scroll. Nothing good happens to your brain after 11 p.m. on Twitter. Trust me. Instead of that late night scroll, find other activities that could fill your time but could feel soothing to your brain. We don't want our brain to become full of fear and chaos and drama right before we're trying to tell it, oh, we need to go rest, because our brain isn't going to be able to do that. We're going to be flooding it with hormones. It's going to disrupt our sleep. So we need to help our brain calm down, and what we feed it at night is really important for it to calm down. I have a patient who swapped late night news for just listening to comedy podcasts before bed. And like within a couple of weeks, their anxiety was noticeably lower. It decreased. Information matters, but too much information, that's toxic. That's venomous to our systems. So activities like reading a book or listening to music or doing a puzzle, like it can help our brain from getting overwhelmed. Connection and support systems. This is vital because when we are going through fear and chaos and change, and no matter if it's positive change or negative change to us, it's still a lot happening at one time. And it feels very isolated, and we can feel very alone in what our experience is. But here's the truth: stress feels heavier when we're carrying it alone. So, one patient of mine, they started hosting Sunday dinners with friends. The rule: no political debates, no news talks, just connecting. They laughed, they shared meals, they built something that reminded them that the world is good. Think about your circle. Who makes you feel safe? Who makes you laugh? Who do you call when things feel a little too heavy? These people, these people are the ones we want to know because they're your anchors. And our anchors become our community of support. Once you've identified who your anchors are, and even if you have one anchor, it's okay. But once you've identified them, make plans to connect with them. Even if it's only one at a time that you can connect with and not a group, it's okay. If it's play a video game together or go out to dinner or meet for coffee or go to a book club or go bowling or just hang out at someone's house or play board games, watch fun movies, like create spaces that you look forward to with an anchor or your anchors. Create those moments, create those spaces. It helps us to connect. It helps to build resiliency for us when we're going through stressful times. And finally, I'm about looking for that strength and looking for our ways that we do have our power and the ways we can show our power, and finding purpose in chaos. It's so vital. When life feels out of control, purpose is the strongest antidote that we can have. So instead of just absorbing all this negative energy that's coming at us, we can take that energy, harness it, and put it back into something meaningful. A person I knew, they felt so burdened by the stories of people who had food insecurities. They were going hungry. So this individual, they decided to start just volunteering one day a week at a local pantry. They told me, I can't fix the whole economy, but I can help my neighbors. And that gave that individual a sense of control again. You don't have to solve the global problems. Just pick one thing close to home and take action. You get to decide what action you take. Is this a one time action, or is this something that I might do on a regular basis or intermittently? Find causes or spaces that speak to you, and you invest time, energy, or even finances if you can. That's what makes a difference. That's what turns this around and harnesses that negative energy that we're taking in and puts it back into positive spaces. Sometimes the best way to fight helplessness is just make your own corner of the world a little bit better. So I'm going to give you some ideas, some simple but powerful things you can do, and this is just to get you thinking. And feel free to add to these lists. Volunteer at a school, be a mentor, help with homework, volunteer at a shelter, any not-for-profit. There's lots of not-for-profits right now that could use hands or finances or resources. Support causes that really matter to you, whether that's donating or attending their events or even just spreading their awareness. Organizing things like a beach cleanup or a neighborhood beautification project. Show kindness to strangers, things like holding that door open or complimenting someone or just checking in on a neighbor or somebody that you might not normally check in on. One woman I know, she started leaving little sticky notes with empowering messages randomly in library books. Things like, you've got this, or someone believes in you. Now, she'll never know what happened with those or who got those, but those are tiny things that can ripple out in ways you might never know or fully see, but could make a huge difference for someone. And here's a bonus. When you make your community stronger, you feel stronger too. I do not want to leave this episode without empowering you with some coping tools. So while we're taking action, don't forget the basics. Take care of yourself, because change starts with regulated nervous systems, with healthy individuals. We can't give what we don't have. So use the tools that we know and let's build on it. Things like breath work and resetting that breath work. We've talked about the box breathing, the in for 4, hold for 4, the out for 4, hold for 4. Something simple like that can help our nervous system reset. Things like those grounding exercises, the hand, 5 things you see, 4 things you touch, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Or even things like making new daily rituals, like before bed, name something that was positive in your day or something that you're looking forward to in the next day. These small practices can calm your body so that your brain can start focusing on solutions. Here's what I want you to take away. You can't control every headline. You can't control the global political climate that we have, but you can control how much news you consume, who you connect with, and how you choose to show up in your community. Every act of kindness, every moment of connection, every hour spent helping someone else, it all adds up. So I would love to hear from you. What's one small way you've made your community a better place, or a way you want to make your community or your space a better place. Share that in the comments below. You never know who you might inspire. And if this episode helped you, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you'll know every time a new episode of Nerdy Psychology drops, and we can keep navigating these challenging times together. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Until next time, stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy. That's a wrap. See you next week.
Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.